Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John and Jenna with Flippin' Ain't Easy. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Sales were kind of weird for us over the weekend. Had like $113 on Saturday. Who else had like a really bad sales day on Saturday? And then Sunday was like $600, so things kind of normalized. Today's good. I don't know, maybe with the events over the weekend happening, and I don't want to go political on this podcast, but maybe that stopped people from focusing on selling and they're just kind of affixed to their phones or whatever. I am a firm believer of the fact, that's why we call it the summer slowdown, that there are things that do distract people from shopping online. So that very well could be what has happened. But today I want to talk about, and we can talk about all that later if you want to comment in the chat. But this was brought to my attention from Scott Bearded Picker, and this video, and I have the video in the description box down below. Very, very eye-opening, guys. This particular video is one where I've never heard of this YouTuber before. It has a lot of subscribers, but Luke Miani. I've never heard of Luke Miani. It was one where he bought, and I guess he's been buying like Macs, computer Macs for the longest time. And there's a few companies that he's noticed that has been doing some shady things. Let's just put it that way. And I guess you probably need to watch the video. It's a really eye-opening video, but it got me to thinking, like, this can't be the only sellers who are using these practices. And apparently, I guess there's nothing saying that people can't. That's why it's allowed to happen. And an example of this is having, how about this? Having multiple accounts selling the same item, okay? So that, now people will ask, well, why would someone care? And what does it matter if you know, we all talk about having multiple stores and things of that nature. But when you do so to manipulate the system. So currently, let's say I have all these toilet seats back here. It's not a hypothetical, it's the truth. I have all these toilet seats back here. And let's say that I decide to list them all under one account, which is what I'm doing right now. I have one listing for the teal toilet seats, right? Well, what if I made 2 or 3 or 4 accounts and decided to list these toilet seats all under different accounts? So now, instead of only one listing showing up in search results, I have up to 4 listings that can show up in search results, depending on the buyer's search information, what they type in search. And it used to be that when promoted listings first came out, eBay would show your promoted listing, your sponsored listing, and your organic listing. People got all up in arms. The people that weren't promoting were like, that's not fair. Their items are showing twice compared to my one. So they decided, okay, we're going to just show the sponsored listing and or the organic listing. Now, of course, you sort by lowest plus shipping, it will come up twice. And I don't know if they know about that or not, but we've been talking about that for some time. And I think that's unintentional. I do not believe eBay is okay with you having 4 accounts, let's just say 4 seller accounts, and selling the same item so that you appear 4 times in search. That is one way to violate eBay's duplicate listing policy. It's like I try to go list another item and I forget that I have it listed. It'll come up with a little red box saying that, sorry, you already have this item listed. So it's like a little safeguard feature, and eBay does not want you with duplicate listings. Another item of concern is, how about this practice? And it's something that I think I've known about before, but I've never utilized it. It's taking a bunch of, let's say, Apple chargers that are like, you know, $15 to $20 on eBay. I think are the comps for them, depending on the type of charger. And you get them for dirt cheap, like $1 or $2 a piece. You blow them out at like $15 free shipping. You have like 20 or 30 of them, right? So now you have a pretty extensive sales history on that low item, right? And then you go in and change the listing. You go in and edit everything in the listing, and now it's a MacBook Pro. So now what you've done is you have a lot of competition for that MacBook Pro. Let's say you have like 20 MacBook Pros that you just got in. You can put all the 20 MacBook Pros on there, making it look like to the algorithm and to the buyer that you have extensive sales history, not on the cables you sold, but on the MacBook Pro. So a buyer looks at that and it says, oh, 30 already sold and you got 20 left. They're thinking, hey, this is a pretty hot item. And it, from what I understand, will get you that boost in the algorithm for having multiple successful sales on that listing. And I believe that is not within the spirit. I don't think there's anything that's written that says you can't do that, but I think I've heard of that before, and I often wondered about that. How about this? Offering warranties that when you go to cash in, let's say I get an item that after, let's say, 2-3 weeks, or let's say after the 30-day return period, something goes out, and now you have a 1-year warranty with this company that they promised you, and it turns out that you have to pay shipping to ship it back, and the warranty only covers labor. And when they go in to fix whatever the problem is, usually it's on a faulty part they knew was bad in the first place, it costs you 2 to 3 times the amount that that item cost you in the first place. So you might as well just buy a new one, right? How about having warranties that are good for a year, and they give you an item that they know is only going to last 30 days or more, and or actually, 30 days or more, you have that window after 90 days where the listing doesn't even show up anymore for eBay or for you, and they contact you, and there's no recourse. Even after 60 days, there's no recourse really the buyer has, because they can't leave negative feedback after 60 days. And the last thing is, a lot of these companies are refurbishing their items. So they're selling these items as refurbished. So I take a used item, and refurbished and used are sort of in the same condition category. But I take a used item, I go in and clean it up, maybe add a cheap battery because maybe there's a battery problem. So I order the cheapest one I can find so that it can last in the 90-day period. And I'm selling it as refurbished, but it's not refurbished with like the factory parts or the OEM parts, which are like from the manufacturer. And you do that because you know it's not going to last, and you only want it to get past the 60 to 90-day period. There's companies doing that too. So these are things that the video kind of opened my eyes to, and I think it's something that most sellers should look at. It's very interesting, very well done video, and very eye-opening. And it can't just be like MacBooks. I'm sure it's more than just that this is going on. It may be rampant, it may not just be electronics. There might be other categories where these kind of games are happening. And the reason why I mention it is because, look, each and every one of these sellers that scam buyers, unsuspecting buyers, chases away a buyer from the platform that you and I could be doing business with in the future. And now they are not willing to do business on eBay anymore, and just a bad overall experience. But I'm sure that this is not an extensive list of all the scams that sellers can pull on buyers. If you have anything else that I haven't covered, go comment down below or in the chat, and I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on it. So who do we have with us today? We have Mike Camparelli. Says, hi, John and Jenna and FA family. Sounds like a good topic for today's show. Thanks for always keeping us informed on the important news. I just think for all sellers, it's important to know what some of the things that your potential competition might be pulling, getting a little advantage on us, Now, are there scams that maybe you can pull in, like clothing or shoes? I'm sure there is. I just haven't thought of them, haven't read about them, but I'm sure someone out there might know to add to the list. But thanks for watching, Mike. As always, a good friend of the program. We love having you with us. Josh Galt says, hello, John and Jenna. I wish you both good tidings and a swell afternoon. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Ping G says, hello, John and Jenna, and the chat. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Callie Deb says, hello, John and Jenna. I hope that the weather isn't too unbearable in Vegas today.
I haven't been outside. Have you?
Well, no, it's hot. It's 108 degrees. But here's the good news. Over the last few days, it usually happens in the afternoon. Our monsoon season has gotten here like a month early.
It started.
And a couple of days ago, it was like 3 in the afternoon, and it just started getting real nasty outside. The clouds were rolling in, and it was the thunders. You can hear the thunder and lightning. And here comes here comes like the coldest drops of rain, big drops of rain.
Big drops of rain.
And it was so refreshing. But I was trying to barbecue,
and he was
right?
barbecuing.
So I'm like, no, you can't do this now.
I said, to hell with it. Yes, let's just barbecue in the rain.
Yeah. Duncan VR says, howdy doody, you two, how's things going? I am about to hit that like for a buyer refund. Oh wait, that's Roman's channel. So speaking of refunds, I had 2 returns that came in. So one was it was like a $280, really nice dehumidifier, really commercial grade, as compared to some of the other dehumidifiers that I've sold. And the thing worked great. You know, we test it. There's no humidity here in Vegas. So, I mean, it always registers at like under 20% humidity. So really those are the worst items for us to get to test. We could do the continuous setting, but we really can't test it the way I'd like to. So we ran the tests that we were able to do. The thing looked great. We shipped it out, came with some pretty nice hoses for it. And about a week later, after they received it, I get a message saying, hey, this thing died on them. There's some error message and they're going to have to return it. It's a bummer, right? So I'm only into it for like $11. So that's my loss plus the shipping. But they sent it back. 2 problems. They sent it back in a much bigger box than what the label covers. So, you know, I'm going to get hit with extra fees for that. Also, I get it and they're missing the hoses. So you can't do that. You have to return everything. You can't just keep your hose for the next dehumidifier you're going to get. So that definitely was worthy of an adjustment on the refund. And I have no problem doing that. If you don't have enough care to ship that thing back with everything that I sent you, in the condition that I sent it, then I'm not going to have as much care to process a full refund. Also, update on the lawnmower. That, you remember the guy, those of you who saw the community post I put out a week or 2 ago, where the guy claimed that he put his batteries in the mower and the thing just wouldn't work, right? Just wouldn't work. Well, it came back. Of course, I have my own batteries. I tested them. It works great, works perfectly. But I noticed there's a lot of grass residue on the bottom of this lawnmower that wasn't there when I sold it. And what he did was he rented the lawnmower, mowed his lawn, and used some phony excuse to send it back and try to, get me to be on the hook for it. Ultimately, I ended up refunding the guy, but I didn't refund the original shipping because we do not refund shipping when there's a remorse return, and that is exactly what it is. So, and of course, I blocked both buyers. Bearded Picker says, good afternoon, Moisties. Thanks for being here. Callie Deb says, hello, Mike, Josh, Ping, Duncan, Beard. I hope you are all doing well. Well, thank you for being here, Callie Debs. Hopefully the weather's a little cooler in Burbank for you. Amazon seller says, hey guys, another exciting week of online selling.
Yeah.
I don't know about exciting. Look, I don't mind reselling. I enjoy what I do, but I don't get excited with it, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way, but it's a job. And I just get out there and do what I have to do and try to enjoy the rest of my day on days that I can. Joe Samard says, howdy, John, Jenna, and everybody. Thanks for being here, Joe. Appreciate you. We have Grandma Mary Zadok says, hi, John and Jenna in chat. Happy Monday. Thank you, Grandma Mary Zadok, for being here. We'd love to see you. Ping G says, doing just fine. Henri Squaws is here with us, says, howdy. Flip it good. Says, happy Monday in spite of what's going on politically. And let it be said, let it be known that my personal take is, because I was really upset on Saturday, and I would have been upset no matter what politician was shot at. I would have been quite upset because there's really no place for that at all in our country. And it's really ridiculous that things are being allowed to happen that shouldn't. I'll say that. Samantha Hunter says, good evening, John and Jenna. Hope all is well. A lot going on in life, eh? I guess you could say life, but I mean, we're doing the best that we can with what we can, controlling what we can, like the sales and the listings. I have another pallet that I'm picking up tomorrow. And of course, making room for that is always a challenge. But as we churn stuff, we have to replace it. So that's kind of the mindset. Jackie Bleckner says, happy Monday. Thank you for being here, Jackie. Amazon Seller 99 says more people than ever have a side hustle. 36% according to Bankrate. Crazy. And more than ever because, look, there's jobs out there, right? But those jobs aren't paying the bills. They're not covering the excess that is now required to live. It's more expensive now than ever to live and to pay your bills. And people are like, okay, I've got my regular 9 to 5. I got to figure out something else to bridge the gap. And that's why a lot of people try to get into reselling, right? And I don't blame them. I think if you have the right things to sell, you can make it work. The problem is there's the entry level to getting into eBay. And I think I talked about this on live before, I think last week, that there needs to be an entry level, maybe training, 30-minute session onboarding to get people understanding that they have a role to play when they're selling on eBay. And, you may not think it doesn't affect you when a bad seller comes on board, but it does. And anytime that these scams happen, it affects you. It affects your future sales. If eBay goes out and loses 30% of their buyers next year, in theory, you're going to have a 30% in sales loss. I mean, because there's less people that are there to buy. The buyer pool is smaller, and we're all competing with each other for that same buyer pool. Victor Wawiorka says, hello, everyone. Thanks for being here, Victor. Chastity says, happy Monday, all. Thank you for being here, Chastity. Duncan VR says, again, with the toilet seats. It's the only thing I can reference that you guys will maybe, I can't say understand, but because that's just wrong, maybe relate with in this channel is toilet seats. Jerry Johnson says, hello, John, Jenna, and FA family.
Hello,
Thanks
Jerry.
for being here. Beards is a genius, pointed out the video. Yeah, good work. I mean, I was like
a genius. I don't know if I'd go that far.
So someone told you about it then?
Far.
Someone told you about it? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I thought you found it. Samantha Hunter says, John, I must compliment you and the guys for Saturday's Profit Playlist podcast. See, Samantha can type it up like I can say it. Really informative. I'm planning on listening again. Want to take notes, maybe leave a comment too. Well, certainly. We do love comments on that channel. And, we weren't
not all comments, but some.
we weren't even, when we get together to do the podcast, I think we're getting together on Wednesday to do this Saturday's podcast. We don't have any subject matter to talk about. I mean, maybe we should be planning a subject to talk about, but the cool thing about that podcast, it's like organic, right? And it's not pre-scripted or anything like that. We just put together a solid hour of conversation, and that's what you get. I challenge, here I'm using Beard's terminology, but I challenge all the other podcasts out there to really have meaningful discussion about eBay and reselling and not script it out, not have any kind of plan, just get together. I think that makes for the best conversation. Amazon Seller 99 says, I'm pretty sure multiple listings for same item are against eBay rules, against Amazon as well, but many sellers do it. 10 identical items on an Amazon listing from same seller is not uncommon. But to me, though, on Amazon, there's one listing. Now, maybe I've seen on Amazon where there's multiple listings. Some have more traction than others. I mean, I've looked up stuff where it's like, how do they have 3 listings on Amazon for the same SKU? But it happens. But if you're talking about just multiple sellers or selling the same, or the same seller selling at multiple, I guess, opportunities within the same Amazon listing, that just doesn't make sense to me because it's one listing. There's one opportunity to click on the item. I don't know. Maybe just me. I'm not understanding it too well with Amazon, but I could see how it would benefit eBay sellers more than an Amazon seller. Mike Seller says, hello, John, Jenna, and chat. Happy Monday and happy day to Ranger.
Oh,
yeah, I see him there.
Cute.
So nice to see you. We have Devon Short says, happy Monday.
You remembered his name.
I remember sometimes.
You never remember it.
I have a good memory, but it's short.
Yeah.
Gail Carlson says, hi, John, Jenna, and FA family.
Did you say hi to Devon?
Yes, I did, but you interrupted me when I was
sorry.
talking. So,
hi, Devon.
and no one's going to scold you like they scold me. So, Jacqueline B says hi. And I usually have my phone on because I do like to hear the the cha-chings when you hit the like
yeah,
button.
but you have to hear all the
I
unnecessary.
know. I got to hear the Sports Center, ESPN stuff. But hit the like button, guys, so you can hear your cha-ching within the next 24 hours. I don't know how or why it works. I'm going to turn this fan on for a second. I don't know how or why it works, but it just does. Josh says, just had a $500 non-payer pay for an item.
Yes.
Hit that like button. I don't know if it has anything to do with the like button, but maybe, sometimes these people.
Maybe they got paid today.
eBay gives them the ability to put items now on layaway again.
Which is ridiculous.
eBay was doing so well.
They were doing so good.
Where it's like your card is going to be charged once they agree to pay for the item or buy the item. And it was working well. And then it seems like slowly we're getting these buyers that are not paying. Now, it could be that they didn't have the money on their card or their bank. eBay attempted to charge the amount. It came back with a denial. And then you have the 4 days the buyer can try to fix whatever they have to fix and then move on. Tammy Weber says, hi, everyone. Thanks for being here, Tammy.
Hello, Tammy.
Juan Garcia says, happy Monday. Great weekend. Best in a month.
Yes.
There you go. Love to see it.
We love that one.
We're a solid month and a half of clearing through summer slowdown. And if you're having good results during this, I think it's all the better. Again, my hope is, here we are. Last year we did great in the summer. And then we got to like August, September, and things started to die.
It was more September, I think.
Yeah,
not so much August, but yeah. I hope that doesn't happen.
And maybe it was the lack of sourcing that I had available to me at that time. I had sourcing, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't able to pick up the kind of things that I was throughout most of the year, and I was trying to make other things work. So lesson learned on that. I do think also that people will start, like end of summer, we'll start gearing up for Q4, right? See all these videos, get ready for Q4. And then they go out and buy stuff for Q4, and more people are buying, and the buyer pool for merchandise to resell is more. You're dealing with more competition there, and you're either paying more money or can't even find it at all. JRKR is here for their sale.
Yay.
So thank you for being here. Callie Deb says we got the monsoon overnight a couple nights ago too.
Oh, that's right. She did mention that.
I love it.
I remember.
If there's anything good about summer weather, because I can't stand the heat, if there's anything good about the summer weather, it's just that monsoon that comes out of nowhere and it rains like cats and dogs out here.
Flash flood warnings.
I guess if you're living like under the strip and the tunnels, that's not a good thing. No. People live in the tunnels under. I don't know if you guys knew this, but in Vegas, it's like a bowl, and all the water runs towards the strip, and they have like these large tunnels that funnel the water to Lake Mead, which is from here. It's south of the strip, so it's going from north through the strip to the south to Lake Mead, and this water will come and just in like 10 minutes it starts raining, and all this water will just start rushing. And there's people that live under there that have like fabricated homes that they've made in these tunnels, and a lot of people end up getting killed. Diamond Roy says a lot started listening to the Profit Playbook podcast in chronological order, and I'm really enjoying it so far. You guys have a lot of intellectual business conversations. Well, awesome.
Wow.
And I say that
sounds smart.
I say that despite me. We have a lot of good business conversations. So that is very, very good feedback. Thank you for sharing that. Mohammed Yasir Ams says, hi, dear. Please explain how to grow sales on eBay in USA market. It depends what you're doing. If you're drop shipping, you're going to have a hard time. I guess you can drop ship, but if you are trying to sell outside of eBay onto the US market, here's what I would recommend. Go to export.ebay.com. That is the eBay website for sellers outside of the US who are selling on ebay.com, and it'll give you all the tips you need to make it work.
Why don't you put that link in there?
I guess I can. I just said the link. It's export.ebay.com.
Well, it's sometimes easier for somebody to
Okay,
click
well
on
then
it.
I will then click paste. So I pasted that in the chat. So if you want to click on that, and it'll take you to all the policies and best practices that you need to follow for that. Devon Short says it's so hot in Idaho, 96 supposed to be 107 next week. And if they're going to go up in temp, does that mean we're going to go up in temp?
I don't want to know.
Beard says, poor Jenna, they kept John's hose.
Nope, John's hose is still intact.
AZ Cat says, Depop cross listers rejoice, selling fees are going away. So I'm not familiar with Depop, really. I know about it. I have never sold on there. What were their fees, and what are they doing? How are they going to be making money? Are they going to be charging the buyer like Mercari, or I just have a hard time thinking that those fees are going to be going away. So let me know on that. Josh says, John's Landscape Rentals. It turns out that's what it was, right? And I think anytime someone opens a fraudulent return where they're using your item to rent and they send it back, I really wanted to go, and I probably should have gone in and adjusted their refund by the cost of the return label as well, but I didn't. But I'm not giving them the outbound shipping that I paid just so they can get a free rental. It's going to cost them something. And I think if we all do that, when we get a fraudulent return, we utilize the refund tool and at least retain the outbound shipping portion, then these buyers are going to figure out that, oh, I guess this isn't Amazon, and they're not going to be able to get away with it. Yeah. Devon says it's been really slow, but it's July. Mm-hmm. Mike Camparelli says it's been hot everywhere, even in New York, 97 today. Oh, and I'm sure there's a little bit of humidity that goes along with that too. Let's see. Jovial says, hey, FA fam, happy National Be a Dork Day.
That's John's day every day.
Now, what's the definition of a dork? We call each other dorks once in a while, right? But what does that really mean?
I don't know. Why don't you look it up?
I'm going to.
Is a dork like
a dork
really
is
smart...
a contemptible, socially inept person.
Oh.
Does that really describe me? I'm sure there's a lot of. I'm sure there's
complete dorks. That's an example.
Yeah. Wow. Could I be a contemptible, socially inept person? I hope not. Devon Short says it should have not happened.
I agree.
Should never happen.
Never.
In the history of the Secret Service, I guess I can't say that.
Can't say that.
It's happened at least once before, but I think that's a little different one. I think we all kind of agree to disagree that there's some inside jobs going on with JFK. Jovial Juggler says, anyone ever wonder what your high school dorks are doing these days, or should I say how much money they make a year?
True. I guess maybe you're thinking like the consensus could be that the dorks are the smart ones,
the nerds,
like the really smart ones that don't have a lot of friends.
But I think that they, in the scheme of things, the nerds and I guess you want to put dorks with the nerds, were the wise ones because they didn't get caught up in all the BS high school stuff, boyfriend, girlfriend parties, drugs and cigarettes and alcohol and all the stuff, being delinquent from school.
So you were a dork.
No, I wasn't. I did a few of those things, but not drugs. Not drugs, not alcohol, not smoking. We did skip some school once in a while. Didn't focus on school as much as I would like to other things to me were more of a priority. And of course, if I could go back to my high school years and do it all over again, I would make sure I was on the top of my class, because now that you think about it, these people who did well in high school, at least most of them, now there's exceptions. There's people who dropped out of high school and have done well with their lives. But for the most part, if you give yourself a little advantage, so you don't have to resell on eBay to make a living, those people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, the ones that really found the right degree to get. They didn't settle for the just the business degree that a lot of people have gotten. It has taken them nowhere. I'm talking about someone who really did well for themselves in school, and that carried over. So I'm sure that is FedEx that's at the door, because I left packages outside for FedEx, but I didn't leave the USPS packages outside because I didn't want them to make a mistake and grab the wrong package. So if it's not USPS,
nope, it's USPS.
You want to get there? Yeah.
He didn't even ring it.
No. So our doorbell and front doorbell, we have the Blink doorbell, and it doesn't always make a chime when they're ringing it. Maybe there's something wrong with the one we have, but it's not working too well. Semperfi says sales are slow, but also have not been able to list a lot lately. And I got to tell you, that does have a negative impact on your sales. Look, my secondary account is a prime example of that. If you watch the video that we put out earlier today, goes into that account where we listed an item and just kind of showed the process and using AI to create that listing. But if you saw the chart, it was like dead all month. And then this last weekend, because I've been doing 2 to 5 items a day, not really an item count, but I'm just taking the time I have left over in the evening and just trying to put some items up. And it's really made a difference. That activity, I am firmly believing that has made a difference. Not only am I putting up new items, right, up against my stale items, and those new items are selling, but some of the older items that have been sitting there have also been selling. Chris Jones says, good morning from Australia, Blue Cupboard store. I do appreciate your information, helps a lot. Well, Chris Jones, thank you for being here. What is a Blue Cupboard? I can't even speak. Cupboard store. I wonder what that is. I'm sure it's an Australian thing. Let me get this turned off here. She gets on me about my ringer on, but she won't turn hers off. Bear with me a second. Turn that thing off. And she has one of these cases that's like impossible to navigate around. David Pentland says, hey, folks, cancel flight stuck in Amsterdam. It's not too bad. So I do know that, isn't Larry Todd out there in Amsterdam area? So maybe you guys got together, had lunch, dinner, or something like that. But yeah, nice to see you. Thank you for kind of stopping by during your layover. Repurposed Art says, never had any issues with sellers. Been buying since 1996. Used to be able to use eBay in your name, and I was miss eBay as my username. Anyway, when it comes to buyers, many scammers. So that is a good point. I don't recall seeing anyone with eBay in their name. And I guess, I mean, you brought it to light that eBay made that a thing where you can't do it anymore. Otherwise, we'd be seeing that a lot. Chastity says, I'm one of my high school dorks, Jovial, and yeah, I wonder what I'm doing quite often. Paul Rose says, hi, John, Jen, and all. Hope your sales are picking up. Our sales are on par. We actually, I was looking at this morning, we are just shy of 4,000 for the last 7 days with sales. So 39.10 and 14,000 last 31, just shy of 40,000 last 90. So we are certainly on par with where I want to be, and not to say I'm comfortable, and I'm still striving to do better, but I know that with these numbers that I'm paying my bills and have some money left over from it. So that's a good feeling. Big Dre says, hello, everyone. It's hot out here in Texas, shipping out 3 orders, 2 from eBay and 1 from Mercari, a shirt, a hoodie, and soaps, about $100.
Nice.
Now, when you say soaps, are you buying like health and beauty retail and doing like the retail arbitrage and you're flipping the soap on eBay? I do know.
Or are you making the soap?
Yeah. Yeah. Diamond Roy says, hit the like button and made sure to have my ringer on.
Nice.
There you go. Montezuma says, here is a seller scam to watch out for. Seller sells a high priced item, prints a label, then redirects the shipping by placing a label over the original address. Tracking shows delivered.
Ooh.
But now it goes to a different address. And I lowered your volume, by the way, so you might want to do something with that because it was going crazy. If the buyer was to contact eBay, about that and say, look, I didn't get the item. It says that I got it. I never got it. And tracking shows it was delivered to a different location or different state. I'm sure eBay would step in and open a case and find in the buyer's favor. So I'm wondering how successful that scam actually is. Whatnot Graphics says, how about all those sellers advertising 100 millimeter bubble wrap or 100 meters bubble wrap rolls when it's actually about 50? Yeah, and that is more of a supplier scam, isn't it? I guess. I mean, there's bubble wrap sellers on eBay if they're getting away with that kind of thing. They are counting on that 99.9% of the people who buy their product aren't going to go through all that. Because once you unravel that big roll of bubble wrap, where the hell are you going to store it, right? So I do know that, I forgot the channel name, but they 3 years ago did a video on that and showed exactly what you're saying, that I think the best company out there was Bubble Boy when it came to making sure they were giving what they were offering. But if we want to admit it or not, you go to your grocery store, you buy the same box of cereal that you bought 10 years ago, it's going to be a lot smaller for the, and you're paying more to get it. So companies know that they can kind of short you a little bit, and for the most part, they're getting away with it. Texas Bandits has finally got lights back on yesterday afternoon. 7 days in a hurricane purgatory. Hell exits. It is Houston with no AC.
Oh, hell no.
Wow, that is something else.
That's terrible.
So my thought on that goes to the eBay side of things. I'm assuming you weren't able to do much of anything. So is eBay going to make some exceptions for you? Maybe your late shipments and all that? Bayou Repair Guy says, hello, everyone. Well, thank you for being here. Nice to see you. New name, new face. Nice to see you. Do not be a stranger. Becky N says, I hit the like button. Hopefully I get a sale. I had a return request right before the show started.
Whew, thank goodness it was right before the show.
Yeah, that was somebody else's show that you were watching.
You like somebody else's channel that gave you that return.
Big Dre says, had an eye appointment today. They said they can't do laser eye surgery because the leak is too close to the center. 90% chance it will heal on its own, but this is the second time I've had it in 6 years.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, dealing with eyes, right?
That's so scary.
I went in, I'd say, back in 2017, and this is going to show the cheapskate that I am.
What else?
Just being real.
Just another example of how flipping is cheap.
I was flipping on the side. I was working for Amtrak, but see, they didn't cover, our insurance wouldn't cover LASIK surgery because it's considered optional or kind of a cosmetic thing. For whatever reason, it wasn't considered a necessary procedure. So it was never covered under our eye care plan. So one day I'm looking at Groupon, come across the thing where it says $600 per eye. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And I actually went in for the consultation the day before I was supposed to go in, and they told me all about it. And they said, yeah, if you want, you just do the one eye and do like a monovision kind of thing, and you won't have to wear contacts anymore. And I got home and I started, of course, doing what I always do. I read about things, I see the horror stories, and I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing it. So I called and canceled my appointment, right? So I didn't go through with it. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, when it comes to messing with my eye.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
A $600 one, though, it's like you're giving some guy just off the street a chance to learn on you.
Mine would be way more than $600 because, for one, I'd be doing both eyes.
Yeah.
And I am blind as a bat.
Yeah, her surgery would involve a genie who would have to look.
Watch it, sir.
Her eyesight is that bad. I mean, Coke can't help her. Don't hit me. Just having fun. Jimmy D says 5 sales this morning, then get a return. Last 5 hours, crickets. Yeah, Jimmy, I really believe that anytime something negative happens to your account, it does affect the algorithm in some small way. I mean, is it going to prevent you from getting sales? No, but I've seen it myself where you get returns and it's like crickets. It could be coincidence, but it just happens too often for it to be that way.
I think it slightly does. I mean, I think any kind of negativity, including a return or anything, does kind of ding you. They like flick you in the back of the ear.
You know, this manipulation, I think it's intentional in that, just think about it. If let's say you're in a category and you have 100 different sellers within that category. I'm sure that that's a very, very, very small percentage of the actual number in most categories. But let's just, for simplicity's sake, say you have 100 sellers in a category. And the top 5 are like, they have the best prices, they have the best product, they have the best photos, they have the best everything. And eBay, just because they're doing what eBay is wanting them to do, all these subpar listings aren't. If it went the kind of way we thought it should go or think it should go, those top 5 sellers would be getting almost all the sales. And I think eBay realizes that, and it does its best to try to share the wealth. And any little thing you do, it kind of sets you back, and they give those sales to someone else. They kind of spread it out. That's my theory. eBay's never going to come out and say it, but they're never going to put a seller in a position to fail where they deliver. Like, what if you were to list 1,000 items and then, you know, over a weekend you'd sell like 600 of them? Can you fulfill that? I think eBay realizes that a seller can only handle so many sales without creating a bad buyer experience. So I believe that's on the back of their mind as well. So like someone like me, if I have a huge day, like $1,000 day, for me, that's a huge day. I can almost count on having a much lower day, if at all. And that's kind of been the way it's been whenever I get a huge day. It's almost like, all right, I made $1,000 a day. I might as well just take tomorrow off, because I know tomorrow is not going to be worth a damn. Buy Your Repair Guy says, I'm a manufacturer. We have 400 unique products of eBay. Finding it hard to find new things to list that are unique. But there's nothing wrong with having 400 unique SKUs. I have 200 SKUs. I seem to hover either a little bit below or a little bit above that. And we're selling consistently. You know, it just depends on what I'm curious as to what type of items that you're listing and making for resale. That is very interesting. Texas Bandit says all the sellers in Alabama need that link for the export.
Yeah.
AZ Katsu says charging the buyer, and that's
She's talking about Depop.
Charging the buyer on Depop. And that seems to be the thing. Do you guys foresee, I know how eBay coddles their buyers, so this is probably a no, but do you guys ever foresee eBay going down that route and charging the buyers final value fees? Maybe as a seller, you still have the option to pay promoted fees if you want to get that boost, but the buyer's paying that 13.25% initial final value fee. I doubt that would ever happen, because, you know, if eBay was in a boon where they're bringing in buyers like left and right, things were great, maybe I can see something like that happening to attract more sellers, sort of like a supply and demand thing. But yeah, I doubt that's ever going to happen on this platform. Devon Short says that sucks about the lawnmower. Well, it doesn't suck that bad, because the unit works. I cleaned it up, right? So after I handled the return, I went in and took it out, cleaned it up. Of course, it works fine, and repackaged it and put it out for sale.
It just sucks that people are like that they'll go and they'll mow their, who knows how large their stupid lawn was, and then send it dirty and disgusting, and that has to travel into our house now. And so that is the sucky part.
It was probably somebody that is in one of those HOA situations where they're like given like the third and final notice, look, you need to mow your frickin' lawn. They don't own a lawnmower. They had no intention on mowing the lawn, but they rented mine, mowed it, made up some silly excuse, saying something about also that the washer wasn't fitting right. It's a bent washer because it goes over the rod that holds up the handle. So of course it's going to be bent. It's designed that way. So just making up just stupid excuses so you can get away from having to pay that return label. Well, I'm sorry, you just did. And good luck getting a hold of an eBay rep to plead your case, because it's not easy to do. Devon says, John, you're not a dork. Well, thank you for that.
He is
Sometimes,
kind of dorky sometimes.
Sometimes I'm told the other, but thank you. Maybe you just haven't seen me off camera. Diamond Roy says, dork has a negative connotation. Geek and nerd have a more positive, neutral connotation. Okay. But I'm not really I'm not nerdy like that. You know, like,
I see a nerd as like, a nerd is the smart one with the.
She's getting back at me for the Coca-Cola comment. Go ahead.
I will get back at
Knock
you
yourself
another time, because it's going to be good.
Well, that was pretty good, saying that I wasn't smart. But
that's not what I said.
Well, you kind of did. Montezuma says, seller places small label over address, covers original destination, redirects to a post office box or friends, relative's house, tracking shows delivered.
Now that's messed up.
Okay, but I'm curious how that would work, because if the original tracking number is covered up, it's going to show that it's not en route. It was like the label was run but not picked up yet. So if they're scanning another label that's covering the original label, that's the tracking number that's going to be updated. And even if they offer that tracking number in the listing, it's going to show a different location, and the buyer is going to be able to open a case and have that thing reversed.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the whole, I just shipped out a PlayStation or Xbox, and the buyer sends me back an empty box. Well, there's going to be, and I believe it's in the tracking, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be a record of the weight. The weights don't match up. You can actually, and I believe eBay has been on this particular scam. I'm not sure how successful sellers are when it's figured out, but I was told by a supervisor, like, what was it? Must have been a year ago when I was dealing with someone.
Don't mean anything.
Well, they know more than someone who's just picking up the phone. That is one scam that they have been looking at. So I think it was a supervisor in the health and safety department, if I'm not mistaken. Richard Spanuski says, it's so hot this summer. I just saw on the 6 o'clock news that the Statue of Liberty is wearing a bikini. That's great. Brent says, Depop is having a buyer pay the platform fee up to 5%, and the seller is still paying the payment processing fee 3.3% plus 45 cents. Depop UK sellers already had this for a few months.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it seems as if UK is like the testing ground for things. So when you see something change over at UK, be prepared that it could be coming to the US. Jovial says, dork, dweeb, geek, nerd. I was none of those because I wasn't smart enough. We got Dark Horse says, good evening. Thanks for being here. Jerry Johnson says, in high school, we didn't have to skip school. Our principal came into our study hall and told us we could leave to go attend a track meet. Huh. Well, I think we didn't have to either, but we did.
Nobody has to.
Here's the thing. We actually had, in my senior year, we had early bird. And so we had the option to go. We had an early bird class. So you had your standard, like, okay, 7 a.m., first period starts. And then you go through like fifth period, you have lunch, and you have like sixth and seventh. Well, we had early bird, which is like a class before the first session. And that allowed you to leave after the sixth period. But the problem with that was lunch was so close to sixth period that people just said, well, screw it. I'm going to go home and not go back to sixth period. So they had the 45-minute lunch and just stayed home.
We just had early release. And if you had 4 classes in the beginning of the day, rather than the full 6, you got out early. And that was me.
Dark Horses, I got some stuff to list. Not sure what will come from it. Hopefully money.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, to me, look, when I get something to sell, I don't care what it is. As long as it produces the deposit that I'm expecting at the end of the week. For me, we get weekly deposits. I constantly look at that number more than any other number on eBay. And I'm looking at my payments, my summary, and I'm trying to see what kind of money I'm going to have depositing into the account and how much is processing. That's really, to me, is more important than impressions or page views or anything like that. Midwest Picker says 0 sales so far today with 4,000 listings. Summer sucks. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's a real thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just and I think it affects certain categories harder than others. Ping G says, is a blue cupboard store the same as the US blue store icon for a store subscription? I'd like to know what one of those stores are.
Blue cupboard store?
Yeah. It's in Australia. Oh. And I can't say the word with the damn. Magic Aces says, hi, everyone. As always, enjoying the show. Well, awesome to see you. Magic
Glad
Aces.
You're here.
I love Magic Aces.
They were stupid.
No, I love it. It's just...
I know you do.
Poker players love Magic Aces. Dark Horse Production says, it's been a terrible weekend, just so sad, but trying to press on and not worry so much. Yeah. Focus on the things that you can control. What point is there wasting on things that you can't, other than driving yourself like crazy and worrying yourself to death? Yeah. So just focus on the things that you can, and you're going to feel a lot less. Otherwise, I mean, if you are I guess a lot of people have this situation. I used to have it a lot when I go to my 9 to 5. I'd always worry about, how things are going to go. Am I going to be harassed? Or it was a real thing. It was a lot of stress, even in management. And I don't have that stress anymore. Big Dre says, my day job told me I'm no longer allowed to take my 30-minute break inside a restaurant, only in my work truck, which AC works half the time. It's another reason to become a full-time reseller. That is horrible.
I just understand how any company can tell you where to take your break.
They don't have a break room in the back?
Well, that's
like a special room.
Tyler's job too. They tell him he's not allowed to go to his car.
So Big Dre is being told, get the hell out.
Yeah.
And Tyler's being told, no, you can't stay. That's odd. Well,
it's the weirdest thing to me.
But here's the thing. Is he salary or is he just hourly?
Hourly. Then
they can't legally do that, because if you were told you have a 30-minute lunch period and you're not getting paid, that is your time to do whatever you want.
Know.
And they can't legally do anything with that. That's your time. I would be looking into something like that.
I told him that, but
Sup, Peep Skills. Thanks for being here. Basket Noodle. Nice to see you.
Sunny!
And the guy with the best locks, Sunny Las Vegas. Thanks for being here.
Sunny, my guy.
Yeah, nice to see you, buddy. Dark Horse says, my buyer got their item today.
Nice.
We want to hear that. That's awesome. I have one of those that I have to process by Friday. I think I left a little note for myself somewhere. Well, this guy ordered a DJI drone body from me, and I shipped it to him by Ground Advantage. Of course, it's almost always Ground Advantage now that's doing it, to Florida, to Miami, Florida. And it got stuck in Florida, and it was like on to the next destination. It would have like a scan like every day, and then it stopped. And I put in a tracer, which is not the same as filing a claim on USPS.com. Normally that gets the package located and moved and going again. But I have till Friday to resolve it. Or, they're going to open a case and it's going to be a ding and all that stuff. So I have to give them a refund. I have to go in and open a return. And I remember today is not a return, but a claim. And today is the day that, the first day that I'm able to do that. So I'm going to open a claim, hoping that in the next 2 days that gets the package going, because how many times have you opened a claim on USPS just to refund the buyer, and like 2 days later, the package arrives? Yeah. So I want to get on that claim process right away so that it can possibly get delivered before I have to refund them on Friday. So Miserable Hot. Hey, Jenna.
Hey.
Basket Noodle says, got love eBay, or probably meant got to love eBay. I paid $40 for a game, and and flipped it for $345
Holy crap.
within 20 minutes of it arriving.
$345? What kind of
awesome.
game is that?
Now, I'm glad it worked out for you, but what would you have done if that game was delayed like my drone was delayed, right? So you got it in the mail. That's great. But now, you know, if you kind of live on the edge like that, what happens when that package gets lost?
$45 for a game? I got to know what game this is.
Larry Way Out says, Happy Monday, John and Jenna. Thanks for being here, Larry. Nice to see you, buddy.
What's this?
Oh, you got a sale?
I got a counter offer.
Ain't too much money. Chris Jones says, my eBay store name. What? Oh, no, we're not doing that. I had offered, that's the part that I had offered 32. I said, meet me halfway. They wanted to give me 20. If it's the same person,
they can go fly a kite.
Just tell them the same price, 32. That's the lowest I'll go.
I'll deal with them.
Okay. Jovial says, woohoo, way to go. I love it. Chris Jones says, my eBay store name is the Blue Cupboard Store. See, I said it there. I'm so proud of myself. Variety seller, one niche, but I add, one niche, but I add all things sellable. I'm a part-time seller, but building my knowledge and inventory so I can be full-time on eBay.
Nice.
There you go.
Well,
so
welcome, Chris.
So one niche, but I add all things sellable. So you're kind of turning your niche into an everything store. I'm good with everything stores. That's what we do. If given the opportunity, I've said this many times, if I could just sell within one niche and that niche sells well and I can get sourcing opportunities for that niche, that's where I would be. So my advice is, if you can, number one, if your niche items are selling well for you, instead of adding more things sellable, try to get more of that, double down on that, and maybe look for more sourcing opportunities for that niche. And then if you are wanting to add more things sellable, maybe open a second store and run it that way. That's what I would do if I could. But again, I get all kinds of different things, so it's kind of hard to do that. Lilac Seller says, hey there, FAE folks. Thanks for being here, Meg. Nice to see you.
Hi, Meg. How's the weather up there?
Big Dre says, I get my soaps from thrift shops or bin stores, sealed and packaged. My wife knows how to make amethyst rock soaps, but it costs too much to make and sell for more of a fun project for the kids. True. I bought some of that Sasquatch, the bar, and it's the black tar, and it has like the little scrubbies in there.
It's not the actual black tar.
Well, it comes off on your skin like charcoal all over your skin. Of course, it rinses off, but the soaps don't last very long. No. And it's like, well, I guess I'm sticking with my body wash from here on out. Anybody else use that soap? I don't know. Maybe I'm using it wrong. I don't know. I mean, how can you misuse soap? Larry Way Out says FJ Treasures did the video on bubble wrap.
FJ. Yeah,
that sounds right. And it was probably one of their most popular videos that they put out.
I remember now.
Dark Horse says, I wanted to order a toilet seat from you, then realized how heavy they are. Good Lord, man, that was a bad move, I guess, after all. I mean, considering that I've sold toilet seats, not these same ones, but I've sold toilet seats for a good year and a half, have had no problem moving these things. I thought it was a slam dunk, right? The only difference being that the colorways were kind of gaudy, orange. I've sold 2 of the 10. And the teal ones, which to me aren't as bad, I'm still waiting to sell. And what I did was I lowered these down to $29.99 plus calculated shipping for these to see what would happen, which is lower than I've sold any of these toilet seats and still haven't gotten anything. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll just keep looking for creative ways to sell them until I can't, and then they're going to be gone, whether donation or out here for large item pickup, because they ain't going to be occupying my headspace all that much longer. Let's see. Jovial says, Hells to the Noah's right. I would die without AC. Thank you for the individual who created AC. Spoiled for sure.
That is me. I would melt. Summer is miserable as it is, and you take away AC. I'm done.
Can you imagine living 200 years ago and dealing with no refrigeration, no AC? I mean, from what I read is that you can actually, back in the day, you would actually have like a pot over like a stove, or like not a stove, but over like fire that they kept going, and someone would go out and catch something, they'd cut it up and throw it in the pot, and it'd always be something new. That was a real thing on how they did their thing. I'm gonna change the pen.
Doing?
I feel like we're stuck behind these words here. I want to get that fixed.
Welcome to my world. I'm always stuck behind the words.
Well, I mean, you're 5'3", so. Dark Horse says, my eyesight is horrible, to be honest.
Mine is bad.
Basket Noodle says, hard to see with 2 black eyes too, John.
Yeah.
LOL. Jerry Johnson says, it's okay, Jenna. You'll be back at John in no time.
That's right.
She already got me back.
No, that wasn't even close.
Dark Horse Production says, I think my current toilet seat might be porcelain. Maybe the new ones are plastic, would be so bad to ship.
Yeah, these are plastic.
These are plastic. These are plastic. 14 pounds is all it is. Jovial says, good thing it's get out the doghouse day as well, John. See, I knew I was safe.
You better feed me after this because I'm hungry.
Nick says, my sales have been slower than I have had in years. Had a Vero taken down. That's good. Offensive material takedown and a return lost in the mail this week. Refunded the return anyways and listing like crazy.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Well, you can also file a claim for that lost return too. Hopefully, well, how does that work with a return though? Is it the buyer that has to file that claim? I don't know. I've not had that happen, so let's hope that it doesn't. Dark Horse Productions, you must mean the bulk shipping charge was whatever you said, like 200 something seems wild. For return shipping, it's the buyer who pays shipping. The bulk shipping charge was whatever you said, like 200 something seems wild. I'm not sure which one.
Well, because you're so late, it's hard to keep up.
I know. Joe says, how do you package a lawnmower? Well, these lawnmowers, when you buy them retail, so they'll come in the box and then they're all broken down. So you have like the main body, you have the catcher bag, you have like 3 or 4 like these aluminum bars that connect to the handle piece. One that fell on my toe today, by the way. And then like 3 or 4 bolts that you just twist on. It's real simple, but they have them broken down to where the recipient just puts it together, assembles it. I actually had sold a charcoal grill, not a charcoal, a gas grill from Charbroil, and I listed it. I haven't sold it yet, but I took that apart. It must have had like 200 parts, and I'm going through the parts list just to make sure because it was a return, and all the parts are there. So that was a pain in the butt to deal with, but usually I think the mowers are like 20 something pounds, like 25
those
pounds.
are the ones I have to wrestle when I do the shipping.
Yeah, these are like ABS plastic mowers, and they have the batteries. Either some come with them or some do. I think I have a set that does and a set that doesn't, and they're about 25 to 30 pounds. They're not that heavy, really. Matt Dre says, it's the society we live in nowadays. No honor or sense of responsibility anymore. That's unfortunate. That's sad.
That's very sad.
That is sad. Montezuma says they just cover the address, not the tracking. So doesn't the tracking tell them on their little deal what plane to put it on, right?
Yeah, they're not even looking at the address. They're only looking at the tracking number.
Right. So when they scan that tracking number, it goes on this conveyor belt because it's going to like Chicago, and then you might have Florida on there, but every step of the way the scan is telling them where to put it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems just really weird to me. Basket Noodle, see, the USPS should be displaying delivery address and never has. Let's see. Aki Mashal Smalu. I think I'm pretty close. I think the trend of letting the buyer pay seller fees will eventually turn into every platform forcing all sellers to pay to have a store. Just my theory. Maybe. My thought is if eBay was to ever do something like that, your store would still be a cost that you'd have to absorb, and your promoted fees, your offsite ads, anything like that, you'd have to pay. But the base fees, the buyer would have to pay. I could see something like that ever happening. Rob Something says, only way returns impact your account is if for an INAD. I have 8 returns pending now, all for order by mistake or change mind and no change in sales. But that's a different kind of return. An INAD, like you said, INAD or broken item, arrived broken, or I think wrong item sent. Those are all negative ones that would fit into the INAD as well. So I agree with you. When I get a return on like change mind or doesn't fit, I mean, that could be taken 2 different ways. There's a lot of times that maybe like with the shoes, we've made a mistake somewhere and they put doesn't fit and they open a return, and that doesn't hurt you. That is a buyer, sort of a buyer reason, or almost like a remorse return reason. Bearded Picker says, this sale doesn't count. I haven't hit the like button due to the lack of respect of my authority.
Shoot. Get out of here.
Basket Noodle says, like marriage, not until the tracking number shows delivered. And we have Biff. Biff's in the house. Writing your own notes when you turn 18 in high school was the best.
Mm-hmm. I got to do that.
I never did that.
I got to do that for 6 months.
Until
I graduated.
Until you got caught?
No.
Kent, by chance, did John ride a short bus to school? Wow. No, I walked to school. I never took a bus. I had no problem walking.
In the snow.
I did walk in the snow for like my 9th grade year when we were living in Salt Lake City for like a hot minute. But no, I walked to school, thankfully. Dark Horse says $250 to renew license tags. I guess just 2. Mom said. I don't know if that was meant for this chat. Kent Daigle says, John, did other kids wear helmets at school? Wow, Kent.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, I'm gonna do something. Can I do something?
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I think I found Kent.
What?
I think I found Kent. Is this Kent? Kent, is this you? I think that's Kent. I may or may not be wrong, but I swear I think that's Kent.
Why?
I had that on Beard's program on his live. I think I found Kent. Just saying. Oops, I don't want that. I want that off. How do I get that off? All right. So, Henri Squaw says, my first year of high school, they had RDOs.
He said no.
That's not him.
100% no.
100% no. I thought you were in Louisiana, Kent. I thought you were. And that's a Kent Daigle in Louisiana. And I found that on Beard's live on Friday. That's why I put it up on my backdrop at the end of his live. Henri Squaw says, my first year of high school, they had RDOs, research and development options. They gave you an assignment and you had the option to do it then or on your own time. I was left and did it on my own. Yeah. At the time, going back, it probably would have been wise for you to have, taken the assignment and do it then. Because if we're being honest, I think when we do things on our own time, we're probably not putting the same kind of effort, if at all, into that. I really regret, that's one of the regrets that I have in my life, is not doing better in high school. Diamond Roy says, 2 sales so far today, totaling $123. Only 52 active listings remaining. Actually went into my store yesterday after watching an episode of the PPP and removed all NAs, does not apply, and drop prices. There you go. Yeah. And look up the information. So if you have an item and there's an NA there, because you just don't have the information, use something like Gemini to see if you can get some item specifics on, like, please provide item specifics for this item, or provide the dimensions for this item, because Gemini will search the internet to find that information. And usually, not always, but usually it's right. Major Win says, hello all. Looks like we're late to the party.
I was just thinking about you guys today when I was getting ready. You have not popped up on my For You stuff or like my subscriptions or anything. But then again, I've been watching other things.
Well, nice to see you anyway.
Yes,
thanks for
I'm
being here.
so happy to see you.
Basket Noodle says, remember, a USPS contract with FedEx ends next month. USPS is currently transitioning to UPS, and that's going to have issues. So I know that I think it's FedEx Ground Economy. You're able to drop off those packages to USPS, and then they would then hand it off to FedEx as part of their process. And they're not doing that anymore. I don't know the effective date on that. I thought it was already ended. But again, I wouldn't, and I do know that they have a program in place. If you accidentally drop off a FedEx or UPS package, they usually, after a few days, turn it over to a local FedEx or UPS person, usually come into the office there, and it gets back on track. But it can get lost as well. So be very, very careful and only hand over your packages to the appropriate carrier. Basket Noodle says, as to the game, I waited till it arrived and posted and sold. Okay. That is the wise way to do it. Basket Noodle says, UPS is way different than FedEx. Everything from parcel inspection, logistics, all different. Now, is that in a good way or bad way? Montezuma says, post office sorts by address and state, then gets placed in your mail carrier's route. Mail carriers don't care or pay attention. Scammer doesn't change tracking, just the name and address. Well, thankfully, I haven't come across that one. So, and at some point, those scams will get curtailed and the seller is going to get dealt with. I'm sure of it. Chris Jones says, thanks and good advice. Yes, I can source more in my niche. That's what I would do. Now, provided that you're able to sell, sometimes we think, okay, let's buy niche items and they don't sell, right? And so we double down on that and it just bad all around. If you're able to sell whatever you're buying in that niche, build up a clientele of people that are going to want to come back to you because you're going to continue to offer that type of an item. Maybe offer private coupons, as a thank you, come back. Because if you have more of what they came for, they're going to come back for it. That type of thing. Things that you can do that you really can't do all that well if you have an everything store. Lilac Seller Meg says, we are surprisingly humid and warm here right now, but nowhere near as brutal as the weather has been by you guys. So I think Meg is up in Wisconsin, right? Mm-hmm. Richard says, I had a lowball offer me $12 for an item I have listed for $39. Immediately blocked them once I stopped laughing. What gets me is they send you an offer, you send them a counter, and then they go lower. It's like, what are you trying to do? I mean, are you playing games with this? Anyone that's really serious about obtaining that item isn't going to do that. Repurposed Art says, anyone selling on Facebook Marketplace, just starting and very surprised how fast things sell. I'm in San Diego. Anyone else using Facebook? That's my next step with these. I guess I just need to stop procrastinating and get them up. I like Archie. He's not with us on the live right now, but he swears by Facebook Marketplace. He'll come across items that instead of listing them on eBay like I would, he just puts them up on Facebook. You're going to take less for it, but in my case, I just want to get rid of them. So that's for me. I'm going to be doing that. I sold my two grills. I sold my Blackstone and my smoker on Marketplace because, of course, you ain't shipping that. Chris Jones, question: is it best to list one item with variations or list all separately? My variation listings don't seem to get many views. That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't like variation.
Variations do get boosts because as you start selling, let's say you have an item with 3 or 4 different colorways or different sizes. As you start selling from that listing, eBay sees that as a productive listing and you get a boost in search for that item. But if you have multiple listings for each colorway / size that you're selling, that is multiple, sort of like what this, I'm not saying you're scamming anyone, but it's sort of like what some of the practices that these scammers do in trying to have multiple stores to show the same item, duplicate listings for that matter. So it's not a duplicate listing. You're not breaking any rules, but it's along the same lines of you're going to get more. Like, let's say someone types in women's shoe, right? And of course, it's a bad example, but you have like a bunch of women's shoes and different colorways and sizes. I mean, chances are your items are going to be, multiple listings are going to be in that search. Texas Bandit says, orange toilet seat would make me feel like I was under pressure to produce. Oh, gee. Lilac Seller, I feel like hunting cabin would be a good let words for orange toilet seats, and maybe beach house for the blue. Wonder if that would help them move faster. But they're not regular toilet seats.
They're shower chairs.
These are for disabled, elderly, someone that just got
recovering
done with
from
surgery. There's no actual party benefit, hunter benefit for these at all. I mean, it's really not. I wouldn't want to be caught dead sitting on one of these chairs, that's for sure. Jovial says, is tonight bearded bibliophile book night tonight? Good question. I don't know what he's planning on doing. I don't know. Basket Noodle, let's not even get into the post office insurance. I had a $45,000 U.S. State Department order years back that was rifled through. Literally took State Department intervention to get the USPS to pay the insurance claim, and all parcels went registered mail, no less. Wow. The problem with USPS insurance, in my eyes, is that if the item arrives to the buyer broken, they assume that that buyer is going to be fine with taking it to the post office to assist in a claim. And most people don't know you, or from Adam don't care. They're going to deal with getting the refund without that process, and they're going to leave you holding the bag. And that is a big problem. But they know that. USPS knows that. They know they're dealing with resellers, and they know that, I mean, not in all cases, but they know that most people aren't going to want to mess with that process. It's making the process too hard to deal with. Sort of like when you're dealing with a rebate, right? So you buy something and, buy this 500 item, get a $200 rebate. They know that most people aren't going to follow through with all the steps that's required to cash in on that rebate. And it's the same kind of mentality. Chastity says, got my sale for hitting the like button. I got a counter offer and accepted. So once they pay, I got my sale.
No.
Yeah, that works. That works. Basket Noodle says the QR code on labels and codes, addressing, etc. Yeah, they can you imagine if you were working at USPS, a sorting facility, and you had to look at the address and go, oh, Hawaii. Okay, I think Hawaii's in this bin. Okay, California's in this bin.
Yeah.
No, they scan and they put it on the right thing. Mm-hmm. Now, when it gets to the last step, which is in the carrier's truck, or the carrier's truck, now they're looking at it going, wow, this is the wrong location. So they probably will put it back in a bin. It goes back to the sorting facility until they can figure it out. NPC Oasis, eBay will stay the same and let all the noobs try different things. They might. I mean, if you go back 10 to 15 years, aside from managed payments, promoted listings, right? Not a whole lot's really changed. I mean, people aren't using auctions as much as they used to. Used to be kind of a go-to for many people back in the day, but it's pretty much the same. You can go back and look up things on a certain topic you want to know about eBay, and a lot of times on Google, you'll see stuff that was published like 10 to 15 years ago, and it's somewhat relevant. Basket Noodle says, never handwrite addressing, always use an official USPS generated label. I agree with that. Let's see. We got a lot of side. Oh, got Guru Alert. Kent Daigle. Major Win says, hey, Kent, hope you've been well, man. And Jovial says, oh, Tommy, calling for Tommy B. Where are you, B? Tommy B? The Karen retrial is over for now.
I know.
I don't know he came back for a moment, and then he went away. So I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. Maybe he took the summer off. I don't know. Or maybe he's banned from YouTube.
Basket Noodle says USPS.
His wife turned it off.
Maybe. USPS freighting is complex. They subcontract services. FedEx was the biggest of them. That's now UPS. Bearded Picker says, found the real Kent in 20 seconds. You need to up your game, LMAO.
Yeah, he's talking about you.
Oh, okay. Basket Noodle says, well, UPS traditionally inspects far more due to its rail/trucking network. Counterfeits, illegal this, that from seaport rail centers and hubs. So it sounds like you got to good sense of what's going on with that. NPS Oasis, you guys are babies. It's been 95 at 100% humidity here for the past week or so.
Yeah, I don't envy your humidity at all. You can keep it. I don't want it, but it gets extremely hot.
Anything over 90 degrees is too hot as far as I'm concerned, but add the humidity. I've been through that, and it just zaps you.
Yeah.
It's summertime, but no, I mean, not complaining. I expected 110 degrees, but not so soon in the summer.
Yeah, normally we don't get our heat waves until August.
Basket Noodle says UPS does far more bulk freighting than FedEx. The only competitor that would, or the comparator, would be Walmart, who has a very efficient truck freighting network, obviously servicing Walmart's interests. Amazon too, right? I'm sure Amazon's a big one. Mr. Sadie says, just got here and had a sale before I hit the thumbs up. You guys are good.
Nice.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Basket Noodle says UPS logistics, due to the amount of national ground freighting, is more expensive logistically than FedEx. Mm-hmm. I really like FedEx though. I mean, I had a problem with them like 3 years ago, but they've never knock on the particle. They haven't come yet today. They have never missed the pickup. Basket Noodle says that is to say their expenses are higher. That will be passed on to all of us. Then NPC Oasis is talking to Chris Jones. It has to be well-made, clear and concise multi-listings. Most of the time I see those multi-lists, it's too complicated and weird, so I find better single listings to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's kind of difficult to navigate through your listing, then some people will just pass. You want to create a low-effort buying experience. And for me, I also think just the listing part of a variation is a pain in the butt, right? So I'd rather just make separate ones. The orange is to be easy to see for old blind peeps. That's why 2 have sold. Bearded Picker says, John, you wore a helmet to class. Do you still lick the windows in traffic? I never wore a helmet in class. I never did.
Wow.
You're thinking of a different John, I think.
Wrong John.
Lilac says, recovery via hunting cabin aesthetic.
Yep.
Dark Horse, that's wild for who that happened to. Just pay your own dang insurance claim. I think that was 45,000. I think.
45,000.
I ain't paying that. Bearded Picker says this second sale doesn't count either because still haven't hit the dang like button. But you want to. You're just putting it off. Callie Deb says, John and Jenna, can't you put earthquake supply in the title to sell the toilet seat?
That's an idea.
I guess we could put a lot of things, right? I mean, it's not. I guess it's kind of borderline keyword spamming to get, but. I mean, if I'm looking at a serious buyer, I don't know how many people are going to be looking for a toilet seat to put out in the middle of the forest when they're trying to shoot Bambi, or
why Bambi?
Well, because that's what they're looking for. It is what it is. Look, it's we put in the listing what it's meant for, and apparently, there's people are having surgery and are picky as to what color the toilet seat is. Mr. Sadie says, automatic return. Bearded Picker, hurry up and hit it. Yes, hit that like button or you're...
I'm already going to wish him.
Yes. It's going to be like a Roman live. It's going to turn into a return. Can't do that. Basket Noodle says, guess I need explain. The USPS uses subcontract services to move a lot of parcel mail. For example, medium mail outside the region of origin would go UPS rail freight. Now, I do recall when I worked at Amtrak, we dealt with a lot of USPS mail via railroad, right? But not UPS.
Yeah.
NPS Oasis, I love you both, was mainly talking to all the gripe in the chat. Yeah, we all kind of complain about it, because it is hot, right? It's not ideal. And
I just can't go out in it. It would be another story to have to go out every single day and go to a job. If I don't have to go out in it, I'm perfectly content.
We got Dark Horse, build it in your base price though. Probably the insurance. Yeah. Basket Noodle, whereas FedEx did most of the movement of priority mail, Now UPS is going to be doing most of the movement of both ground and USPS air freight. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Dorcas says USPS needs to honor the claim. That is what I mean. They do, but they're like an insurance company. Insurance companies aren't in the business of paying claims. They're in the business of collecting your money and doing everything they can to either not pay your claim or to find a way to pay less than what they're supposed to pay. Beard says we have a proof of or a helmet. Look at your texts.
Oh no.
No, I'm not.
He went on.
Oh really?
Let me see.
Really? Who's in the background?
What is that?
I don't know. That must be Beard when he had hair. Look at that. This is what he did. He's playing games.
What in the heck?
I don't know. He's playing with Photo Room, and I don't know. That must be Beard in the background when he had hair.
Let me see that. I gotta see it.
Jovi says Boghouse Blue and Hot Lava Orange. I don't know.
Okay, that person in black is creepy.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know who that is.
That's gotta be AI doing that through Photo Room. Basketnoodle says Amtrak moved a whole lot of letter mail buckets. They used airlines as well.
Yes.
Yep. Dark Horse Productions. I mean, any excess eBay charges should be passed to the customer, billed into your base price.
Yeah.
True. Now, if I sell a $200 item, I'm not building in because I'm charging them calculated shipping. I might charge a couple of dollars extra on the top of the label, but really, because we're getting feed on that with eBay fees, at the end of the day, it's kind of coming out of my pocket. And usually I don't mind because I'm usually turning like a $10 to $20 item into a $150 to $200 item. So it's not that big of a deal. Lumen, do you know if I have a refund request, how can I get eBay to step in and cancel it? I'm the seller. So a refund request that comes from you, I don't know how that would be a refund request because you can go in and just refund whenever you want. A return request, I'm sure you're talking about. Well, there you have to go in and accept the return request. And then if the buyer doesn't do anything, doesn't send it back, then eBay will automatically cancel it after a certain date. They'll say, we see the buyer hasn't sent this back to you. We're going to close the case. So there's not a whole lot more than that's going to be done. NPC Oasis says, I work outside doing farming and landscape work as my second part-time besides eBay. I've learned to love the heat somehow.
Yeah, you guys are a special breed because I don't know how you do it.
Well, see, I go out in that garage. It's hot, right? But I think after the first 2 weeks, I've sort of acclimated towards it. So the first couple of weeks, I'm like dying out there, right? I'm like, I can't deal with this 115 degrees. Now I'm out there, and she'll come out there and say, why isn't the AC thing on? Because number one, it only cools my knees.
That's your own fault.
And number two, it's so hot in there that it does not, it doesn't touch it. It just doesn't keep the room cool. So I just learned to deal with it. And I guess I need to go in and insulate the garage door itself, maybe add some insulation there to help with that. But I haven't messed with that since. Kent says, that's John's schoolmates. I don't know what that was. I mean, is that like a wrestling mask?
I don't know what it is, but it's certainly not a helmet.
that is like I'm a wrestler. Or I'm about to rob somebody.
I don't know.
That is weird. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know.
If a buyer whines, tell them no. Yeah, I'm just declining that request. They keep lowering the price. John, did you wear that shirt to match Jenna's nail polish out of the doghouse points? No, just pure absolute luck.
Just
to be honest with you.
Just happened like that.
NPC says that guy looked like Scorpius from Farscape. Josh Galt says, why would you want to stop a return request? Maybe for the buyer to keep the item. You don't want to have to deal with a refund. I don't know. But I know that if a buyer opens a return, you just hope for the best. The best being that they just simply forget to return it. Or here's what happens a lot with electronics. They get it. They don't know how to use it. They open a return request. They figure out how to use it. They forget the return request was opened and it times out. That to me is best case scenario, right? That way they're happy. They kept the item. they don't care enough to cancel the return request because buyers aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. And, it shouldn't have been open in the first place, but yet it happens all the time. Basket Noodle says all to save $10 of wood. Wood. I don't know who's saving $10 of wood, but Basket Noodle also says, in fact, my phone just went off. Antibiotic psychotic pill time.
Oh boy.
Well, can't have that. I can't have that. You can have it, but I can't have that. But I think also it could be end of live stream time. Antibiotic psychotic pill time. But it's not that time for us. It's time to probably order something from Uber Eats.
I'm hungry.
Because I ain't cooking tonight.
He's cooked every day using this new grill.
Made some carne asada on the grill side of things.
Good.
Made some carne asada and then made a pork tenderloin in the thing. And it's okay. It ain't my favorite cut of meat, right? But it's still
very dry.
Well, this one wasn't.
I mean, it wasn't dry, but I just don't like that cut of meat. I'm not a real big fan of pork.
Here's the thought for you that you guys can take with you. Mr. Sadie is going to cut his grass in his Speedos. So think of that. Now take a good look at Larry and then just imagine, I can't imagine him in the Speedo.
Oh, Lord.
And imagine him doing that and not get arrested. So if he shows up on Friday,
he's gonna be on cops.
We know he didn't get arrested. So with that, guys, I'm going to get arrested if I don't feed her here soon. So want to thank you guys for being a part, really the best part of this program, really. And I mean that. I mean, this thing would be over in 15 minutes after my diatribe if it wasn't for you guys.
That's
so
a fact.
The fact that you guys are here hanging with us, whether you hate us or love us, the fact that you're here means everything to me. And I just want to thank you for it. Don't be the seller that looks for ways to scam buyers, guys. And we should always look for opportunities to point out when there are bad sellers out there because they're taking away our future business. But recognizing that is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your week. And we will talk to you guys very soon.
Love you all.
Take care, guys.